my name is Tip Robertson, and today I'm starting my new segment called That's Messed Up. Now, you might be wondering why I decided to start my channel direction with a segment called That's Messed Up. Well, sometimes there are things I learn that I find super disturbing, and I have a tendency to overshare, so why not overshare them with the entire world? Now, I'm going to start this out by saying I do not under any circumstance condone drug use. In fact, the purpose of this segment is to steer you as far away from drugs as humanly possible. Do not do this drug. Do not do any drug unless it is legal or prescribed to you by a doctor. Okay? Don't do drugs. Seriously. Drugs are bad. Especially this one. Now, you're probably wondering, okay, well, you've just given us the spiel, don't do drugs are bad, okay? Well, this one is probably in the top 5 list of bad drugs you shouldn't do. In fact, more often than not, this ranks in the top 5 most addictive drugs on the planet. Methamphetamine. You might be thinking, okay, we all know meth is illegal, meth is bad. Well, you're right about meth is bad, but in certain circumstances, meth is not illegal. Doctors can legally prescribe methamphetamine as a medication. Methamphetamine as a medication? What? Yeah, it's true. Methamphetamine is a Class 2 drug. Now, I don't know if that means anything to people overseas, but Class 2 means it is highly addictive and has very limited legal uses, but can be prescribed by a doctor. The legal uses for methamphetamine are the treatment of ADHD in children 6 years and older, weight loss for people 6 years and older, the treatment of narcolepsy for people 6 years and older. 3 medical uses. 1, 2, 3. Now, you're probably sitting here thinking, she can't be right. Meth, the drug that was everywhere in the United States described as meth, not even once. I'm pretty sure that if you've seen a billboard, you've seen them covered with images of young girls talking about losing their innocence in a bathroom. Well, unfortunately, I'm talking about the same drug. Its brand name is called Desoxyn. D-E-S-O-X-Y-N. And if you're wondering what I'm flipping through, it is a notebook in which I have notes. Well, composition book in which I keep notes. I have notes for future episodes regarding dangerous but legal drugs. I know, I still can't get used to saying that. So what we're going to start with is we're going to start off by saying that methamphetamine is a chemical compound that is very similar to amphetamines. Now, amphetamines are drugs like Adderall. My mom mentioned that back when she was my age, it was called Black Beauties. Amphetamines are stimulants. They give you energy. Now, the only difference between methamphetamine and amphetamines is a chemical chain called a methyl chain. I'm not really certain on what all that entails, but I know that the methyl chain allows methamphetamine to breach the blood-brain barrier far more easily than a regular amphetamine. Now, what makes methamphetamine also so addictive is that, like cocaine, it also messes with something called your dopamine receptors. Dopamine is a very important part of the human brain. It controls the pleasure centers, or the reward consequence centers. Unlike cocaine, which when people smoke it, after about an hour, 50% of the cocaine that they smoked is now gone. Methamphetamine, however, takes 12 hours for 50% of the drug to leave your body. Now, cocaine, and this is from drugabuse.gov, if anybody wants to research this on their own independently, the sources for this information was from drugabuse.gov. All One word, drugabuse.gov. Here's what makes meth so much more addictive than cocaine. Cocaine prolongs the dopamine actions in the brain by blocking the absorption. So our brains will release the dopamine, which makes everything feel nice and yay. But you're not receiving it in your dopamine receptors. You're not intaking it, so you're not absorbing it as quickly. But cocaine does not necessarily release the dopamine. This is why meth is addictive. Meth will not only inhibit your dopamine receptors, it also causes you to release massive amounts of dopamine. Which is why meth is addictive. Don't freaking do meth. Now, mind you, they are prescribing methamphetamine to children as young as 6 years old. Now, here's the short-term effects of methamphetamine. I cannot talk. I should lay off the caffeine. I know what I just did. Now, the short-term effects of methamphetamine are an increased attention span and decreased fatigue, meaning you can pay attention and you won't be sleepy. You will also have increased activity, meaning you'll want to do more stuff, and you'll be awake. Which I don't know why they put it that way. Decreased fatigue, of course, is going to mean wakefulness. Thanks, government! Now, here's where it gets crazy. You also get a decreased appetite. You'll feel euphoric. You'll also start breathing more. Increased respiration is how they'll refer to it. It means your respiratory rate, your breathing rate actually increases. You will possibly have an elevated and irregular heartbeat. You will also become hyperthermic. Now, for those of you who don't know what hyperthermia is, it means the state of your body temperature being too warm. You have an elevated body temperature. Now, mind you, they are giving this drug, a 5 milligram dose is the smallest amount they can have, to children as young as 6 years old. Now, they say, well, we'll only put them on it for a few weeks. Okay, well, that's good if the parents, adhere to that schedule, I suppose. I just can't get over the fact we're giving kids meth. Literal, legal meth. I'm sorry. It's disgusting to me. Anyway. Now, the long-term side effects of methamphetamines. Addiction. No kidding, Sherlock. Psychosis, such as paranoia, hallucinations, and repetitive motor activities. Tics, in other words, like tics. You've seen what people call tweakers, how they just constantly have this certain movement they have. You will also see changes in the brain structure and the brain function. Yeah. They're giving this stuff to kids. Deficits in cognitive and motor skills. They will not be able to think as well because, again, their brain has been physically changed. It doesn't matter if it is a child or adult. Their brain has been altered through the use of methamphetamine. Their motor functions can even be affected. Increased distractibility. Weren't they taking this so they wouldn't get distracted? Memory loss. Yeah. Not even I can't say anything to that. Aggressive and violent behavior. Now, I have looked through the Disoxin. I have looked up Disoxin, and they tell parents to monitor their children for aggressive or violent behaviors. Mood swings. If you come crashing down from a methamphetamine high, you will experience a severe depression. Dental problems. We've all seen meth mouth. It doesn't matter where you are. We have seen people who are gangly, thin, just frightening, Yes, frightening, with half-rotted teeth, if not completely rotted teeth, if they have any teeth left at all. Now, most people say that's usually through smoking. It can be caused through oral ingestion or injection. And of course, here's the kicker, weight loss. Now, methamphetamine is prescribed for weight loss. The circumstances under which methamphetamine is prescribed for weight loss is where diet, exercise, group therapy, and other diet medications have not worked. So basically, the doctors want to put them on meth to make them lose weight. And I don't know if maybe this is a slippery slope argument or if some kind of logical fallacy. Been in a lot, and I have gone through like literally 10 drug abuse websites, okay? 10 to do some research on this. Meth already has a high probability of addiction. Just the way it works on the brain chemically, it has a very high probability of addiction. When getting it from the doctor is no longer an option, either because A, it has become obvious to the doctor that the patient is addicted, or B, the patient can no longer afford the medication, they can find it elsewhere. Yes, they can find it elsewhere. And that's where the street drug problem comes into play. So my question is, how many meth addicts have started meth because somebody offered it to them on the street saying, hey, this will make you lose weight? And how many have become addicted because the doctors gave it to them? Did they become dependent on the meth? I mean, to me, this is just super messed up. Methamphetamine, the drug that people have demonized to the point of insanity, and for good reason. This messes you up inside and out. I mean, let's not even talk about part of the psychotic behaviors being feeling stuff under your skin and trying to pick it out. Knowing that there's nothing in there, but you're scratching at yourself trying to pick it out. It's insane. It's insane. And some of the side effects that they don't even mention in here are it will eat away at your muscles because you no longer feel like eating, so your body literally starts eating itself. And I mean, I had like the research I've done, I have a whole list of things all involving legal drugs that are just completely messed up to me. Yet, we're gonna no, I'm not gonna use that. I'm Tip Robertson. Have a good night.